My name is Jerry McNerney. I'm a congressman from California's 9th Congressional District, and that includes cities of Stockton, Lodi, Lathrop, Galt, which is in Sacramento County, and parts of East Contra Costa County, such as Brentwood, Antioch, Discovery Bay, Oakley. It's a diverse district. It's one of the most diverse districts, I think, in the country, and it's got some urban centers, but it also has a significant rural and agricultural sectors. So it's a good representative district for the country. Well, first of all, I just want to sort of explain why I'm in Congress for so long, and the reason is that I just have this need to be able to help the community that I represent. It's a community with a lot of sort of economic challenges, and we see things like connectivity is going to help this district significantly, and that's kind of one of my focuses in Congress is looking at connectivity. How do I help people achieve technical competence so that they can participate in our society at the fullest level? We see connectivity being very important because a lot of entrepreneurs in our district are going to be depending on that, do depend on being able to connect to the public for the internet, being able to take orders online, being able to show people what they do as an entrepreneur online without having to have people, especially now during COVID, come into their stores. And also with the pandemic, we've had to close our schools, and a lot of these are schools that are sort of marginal in terms of their financial capabilities. So sending students home, a lot of them don't have availability for one reason or another to high-speed internet, and that puts them farther behind. So there's a real need. We also have a significant veterans population, and I like to see veterans have access, whether it's telehealth or whether it's VA benefits. Well, one of the things that's we kind of knew, but we didn't have real data, was the lack of availability to internet in our district. For example, Delta College, it's a community college, and it's a great opportunity for so many people that may not have any other educational opportunities after high school. They found out that approximately 50% of the students don't have access to high-speed internet. So they put buses in the parking lot so that students could drive in there and park there and have access to Wi-Fi. Quite a bit has been done in Congress this year. We have the Digital Equity Act. That's a bill that I produced, and the purpose of that is to have not only provide a build out so that people have access to broadband, but also training so that they know how to use that access, and then also make it affordable one way or another. There's the LIFT Act, which actually provides real billions of dollars so that the companies can build out in some of these underserved communities. And then there's the HEROES Act, which is big on providing access to high-speed internet for healthcare reasons, and so that people can get their relief if they need it, and so on. So there's quite a bit that's actually happening. We've actually passed these things in the House, and we have a good chance of passing at least some of those into law. One of my big focuses has been tech issues, and being a focus of mine, I want to make sure that my district is a beneficiary of that. So I want to make sure using all the tools at my disposal, whether it's we wrote a letter to some of the broadband providers encouraging them to provide services, and to encourage them not to cut off service if people can't pay their bill because they lost their jobs during the pandemic. Local officials are going to be part of this process, and they have been, and that's the good news. Stockton, California, has the first strategy for artificial intelligence, and that's important, to have a city that actually looks ahead and says, okay, we're going to be suffering from potential job displacements because of artificial intelligence. Let's put a strategy in place to make sure that we start taking action now that will not only mitigate the problems, but actually create opportunity around that technology advance. I think in terms of just sort of a 50,000 foot view, if we have universal access then and universal literacy, digital literacy, then the economy will be that much stronger. And if we don't have it, we're going to have a tremendous lost opportunity. And you know, within the backdrop of what's happening nationally now, with the drive for racial equality, this is a very important issue. We want to make sure that we don't leave out any one sector because of their race or gender, or because of income levels. This is an equalizer, and this is something that's going to make a difference in the short run and the long run. I want to start with the providers, because the providers are key to this. We want to make sure that they are motivated to be full participants, to be good players in this. And if we can find in the government incentives for them to provide service, to provide access, to build out, so that they have that availability, and then use the educational system to make sure that people have digital literacy so that they can take advantage of that. And then on the last step, some government subsidies such as the Lifeline program, and you know, in the HEROES Act, which we passed in the House about 3 weeks ago, there was an additional $50 a month so that people would be able to continue, for people that qualify for Lifeline and people that may have lost jobs, so they can continue having access to high-speed internet during this crisis. And it's important to see all those moving parts work together. I guess I could just say that a rising tide lifts all ships. If you have a fairly insular group of people that have access to internet, high-speed internet and availability, then that's going to create an economy. But if you have a broader set of people included in the digital world, then you're going to have more economic activity, more prosperity, less tendency for problematic behavior within the community. And I think it's just a benefit to the whole community. I mean, in my community, we have 34% of our households don't have access to high-speed internet. So at least a lot of that has to do with affordability and, again, digital literacy. So if we don't know what this is costing and what people can pay, then we're not going to be on top of how of one of the key links in terms of providing real access to high-speed internet. If Eisenhower hadn't pushed through the National Interstate Highway Program, our economy in this country wouldn't be half of what it is today. And I think you can say a similar thing about the broadband. If we don't make this investment, then our economy is going to stagnate, and we're going to see other countries, maybe Korea or Japan, China certainly, bypass us and leave us in the dust. No, we don't want to have that happen. One of the things that's so important and interesting with broadband availability is that the rural communities versus the urban communities, and they both have a similar problem, but they look at it a lot differently. And if we can because communities, some of the more economically challenged communities in urban areas don't have build out, and a lot of the rural areas don't have build out. So if we can just sort of get that idea together that, this build out, it's going to be kind of expensive, but the payback is going to be enormous if we can get this done right, and everybody's going to benefit. It's just a matter of trying to develop those personal relationships, trying to see things from the other side's point of view, and be willing to make compromises where, know where you're willing to make compromises and know where you're not willing to make compromises. And I think that'll be the key to moving forward on this and all the other issues that we're facing. If we make that national decision that we want to work together, rural communities may want to see the money to go to their their interests, and the urban communities might feel, well, we're so many people together, and why should we see so much money going to few people? But really, there's very similar goals here. So if we can work together, it'll serve everybody's interest. And so, yeah, I think we can get there.